Grand Rising. I'm on my morning mental. As you begin your day, it's going to be rough. Every day is a class. Every day you will learn something, good or bad, either about yourself or about the world that we live in. This morning, I want to put a thought on your mind because it's on my mind. But am I the only one who feels like we have all somehow slipped or slid into an alternate reality? It looks like the place that we know. Everything appears to be in the same place. Even some of the same people that we've always known. It looks like the world that we know. But there are some things that are just out of place. Everything is extreme. Everything is evil. Everything it's tolerated. It feels like we are in a different reality. The same world, but just a different version. Everything is upside down now. Things that we used to disapprove of, we now approve. And things that we don't approve of, we now approve. We're backwards. Everything's upside down. Our heroes have been reduced to our enemies we don't talk about, and some of the things that we hated the most are now lifted up. People who used to be on top of the world, people who used to set the trend, are behind bars, and people that for a long time everybody had either hated on or ostracized, or some of y'all are those people that wouldn't even pay you any mind. Everything's upside down. You know, I've taught in the past about the soul and its ability to only stay in the body for so long before the body becomes toxic. You see, your soul occupies your body and it drives your body, just like an avatar. But the soul cannot stay in the human body for too long because the body becomes toxic. That's why you have to sleep. You have to leave your body so it can recharge and so it can remove all of those toxins. But some of y'all already knew that. We talked about that when we talked about such things as demonic possession, multiple personalities, or people that you know, you grew up with, people you hung out with, people you probably had relationships with. They're not the same people anymore. It's like there's someone else. Same body, but a completely different. I bid you all grand rising. Grand rising. I think that some people also believe, like I believe, that we are living in an alternate reality. When did we slip into this alternate reality? I do not know. Some people says that it happened in 2017, right after the eclipse. Some people said it happened between May and August of this year when the planets were in alignment. Some people said that it happened back around 2012 when the Mayan calendar said that things would start anew. And some people believe that we don't know when it happened, but it has happened. And not only has it happened that we feel like we're in a alternate reality, but we also feel like some of us, not all of us, some of us have changed ourselves. Someone in the comment section said it is the Mandela effect. I would say no. It's more like the butterfly effect. You remember the movie The Butterfly Effect? Which raises a very good question. Do you believe in time travel? If you could go back in time to one point in your life and make one change where you know if you had gone left instead of going right, your life would be completely different now, would you do it? You see, I've had that conversation with myself before. And remember, everything is like ripples in a pond. So whatever you changes other things that changes other things that may change the reality. That when you come back to the present, the world will be completely different. And you might find out that that thing that you thought was the turning point in your life that you would have changed was not what you should have changed. You understand what I'm saying? This world that we live in gives us the freedom of one thing, only one thing. You don't have control of anything else. The only thing that you have control of is the freedom of choice. Remember, it's written, there's no temptation that will be placed in front of you that a door of escape is not also presented also. There's nothing that you have done, nothing that you chose to do that was based on your emotion or your thought that you didn't have another alternative to not do it. And most of us ignore that and plunge head first into what appears to be the right choice, only to find out all it was a pivot. It was a setup. And now your life is going in a completely different direction. And you look back saying, what if? To all my brothers and sisters that are in cages, because I don't call putting a human being in a cage punishment. And putting a person in a cage is akin to treating them like an animal. You're either going to punish them and be done with it, or you're going to excuse the offense and keep it moving. But putting someone in a cage, we were never meant to be put in a cage. It is not human nature to place a human being in a confined space. When we are thinking creatures, when we are creatures who take in our environment so that we can become more productive, you remove that from the human being, and now the mind has nothing to feed on except the cage that you give them. And then you let them out of the cage and you expect them to function like they've been free all this time. You see, the people who invented the concept of putting you in a cage, a C-A-G-E, are the same people who came from a cave, C-A-V-E. You see, we didn't come from caves. We did not. We came from the wide open desert. We came from the wide open lush jungles. We came from the beautiful places in the motherland, open, wide open, and free. Our punishments were harsh, but we never put you in a cage. To my brothers and sisters in the cages, it is my desire and hope to see you out of there one day, one way or the other. I think I want to be a little transparent this morning. You all remember that CNN did an interview with me on October the 4th. Today, we're all the way to October the 15th, and we haven't seen that interview yet. And when I raised the question about that, I got a phone call from CNN, and they said, oh, we had just a few more questions before we publish this interview. And the question that they asked me, I found to be striking. The question was, you said we were going to get free one way or the other. What did you mean by one way or the other? Now, I don't know where the mystery comes in unless the people who are asking the question have no concept of what it is that we're truly going through. They wanted to know whether or not that meant violence. It's a shame that I have to explain to people this world has changed because of violence. There is no country that has not established itself unless it was a result of violence. Revolutions are violent. Governmental overthrows are violent. Anytime the people cannot get resolution through conversation, they have resorted to violence. The question that then I have to ask, and I asked them, you insult my intelligence by asking me a question like that. The reason being is because you already know the answer, and so do they. Let them know that whatever their answer is our answer, because we're not different in that respect. We're not special. And stop acting like we're performing some magic trick that hasn't been done before by you. We're not the monkeys performing in the circus. We are men and women just like you, capable of everything you are capable of, and responding to situations like people have been doing for hundreds of thousands of years. I find it interesting that they act like you all just went to sleep, that you're supposed to stay asleep. I find it interesting that people have the audacity to be surprised when they see people of any race responding as people. After they asked me these questions, they said, oh, that's all we needed to know. We'll go ahead and get the story out, blah, 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 blah. Right. Bottom line is, I want to put something on your mind this morning. And there's two things. The first one is, do you feel like we slipped into an alternate reality? Does this still feel like the world from last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago? What has happened? This alternate reality that we're in. Grand rising to all of you. What has happened? Why are we feeling like things are different? Well, probably because our ancestral spirits are waking up. Probably because you can only lie to a person for so long before the truth begins to press into the room. There's somebody listening to me right now that is sitting on an uncomfortable truth. They really want to tell the people around them, but they don't know how, because they don't want it to be a big blow up. So they're trying to find a time and a place to deal with the situation. Unfortunately, they're running out of time because the truth has a way of pushing its way into the room. The truth has a way of popping up when they open up the wrong book. The truth has a way of jumping off your phone because your phone just happened to be laying with the face up, and you've done such a great job at managing the situation, but the truth has a way of creeping on in. You understand what I'm saying? And what are those truths? Well, here are the truths. The truths are, when you do something to a human being or to a race of human beings, we all have a built-in self-defense mechanism where we can block out traumatic experiences. Have you ever noticed that? You ever seen somebody that something horrible happened to, or they survived some terrible accident and they have no recollection of it whatsoever? And the human mind has a safety device that prevents you from actually seeing your trauma while you experience. You remember, you're a soul in a body. The body goes through the trauma. The soul does not. Did you know that? Let's try it again. Your soul cannot be traumatized. Your soul cannot be beaten. Your soul cannot be whipped. Your soul cannot be insulted. Your soul cannot be imprisoned. Your soul is the key to everything. Your soul, for y'all that are still in the slave master church, I'm not talking about the soul they're trying to save on Sunday morning. We ain't talking about that myth. We're talking about the essence of what you are, the essence of who I'm talking to. The soul simply uses the physical to manifest itself in the physical world. This body that you're looking at has no more purpose or design at all. It is the soul that is sitting inside of it, that's flipping the switches, that's driving it, that's pushing air through the lungs, that's vibrating these vocal cords, that's making these lips perform, these eyes staring back at you. These are simply manifestations of my soul. If you remove the physical, then you will have no way to talk to me, because then I become spirit. When your physical is removed, all that's left is your soul. You don't find many books about the soul. Oh, you find books on how to control you. They call that religion. You find books of how to tell you that you're broken. They call that psychology. You find books about, but you don't find books that get to the nitty-gritty of exactly what we are. One book that I recommend that you read, this book right here. This is Imhotep the African, the architect of the cosmos. It's by two guys, Robert Bauval and Thomas Brophy. They wrote another book you should read called Black Genesis. I recommend that. But when you say Imhotep, most black people will go, Imhotep. Most of you all will remember Imhotep was portrayed as a villain in the movie, the insulting movie, The Mummy. I remember that Imhotep. He was some guy supposed to live back in the ancient days, and he did something egregious, so they put him in with some bugs, and he's supposed to came back, and now he gonna take over the world. That is not our mentality at all. Grand rising to all of you. I'm on my morning mental. However, what they won't tell you, as a matter of fact, let me read a little bit to you so you can see what I'm saying. It says right here, y'all don't mind, do y'all? Hold on a second. Here is the crux of the problem, black folks. In case y'all didn't know, this is a pro-black channel. The earliest human remains have been found in a large quantities are from the pre-dynastic era of the so-called Badarian culture of Upper Egypt, which is dated to 4,400 years before Christ. A much older cemetery has been discovered at Gebel Sahaba in Upper Nubia, dating from the late Stone Age, about 12,000 years ago. But if you go even further to Naphtha Playa, which is within the Egyptian territory of the Lower Nubia, they found people who go back all the way to the 4th millennium, black people. Herein lies the problem. You see, white people, you've been running around trying to prove that you built everything, and white people, you've been running around trying to say that you are the creators of civilization. Stop it, stop it, stop it. You see, white people, the truth has been pressing into the room, and you're the ones that keep opening the door so that the truth sneak in here and it poke in there and it pop up here like whack-a-mole. And now you're having to admit something that you probably knew all along. And that the reason you hate black people and the reason that you want to eradicate us from the face of the planet, and the reason you want to declare yourselves superior, that you are at the most advanced, it is because the more you try to prove these things, the more you find out how false they are. And that even though the black man today suffers from racial amnesia, cultural amnesia, spiritual amnesia, yes, they do. You're taking advantage of that situation to try to commit genocide against them because, oh, if they wake up, oh, if they start to put together the pieces, oh, if they start to learn about people such as Emotep, if they start to learn about the pre-dynastic dynasties and so forth. You see, y'all like to keep them in books like this one right here. Here's one book that you can find this anywhere. This book right here is called The Handy African American History Answer Book. And it's chock full of everything that happened since black people were enslaved in America. Because they only want you to know your history from slavery to now. They don't want you to know the history of the people that got enslaved. They don't want you to know the history of why those people were targeted. Nothing happens by accident. They don't want you to know what heights they rose to. Matter of fact, they want you just to believe that they were lowly people and that's why they got enslaved. And now they should feel good that they're no longer slaves and that they can take their place in a society that these white people have built on the ruins of a former global civilization that for whatever reason collapsed, whether it be through self-destruction, spiritual intervention, we don't know. But those particular people saw the proof of what was before, saw who did it and realized that they didn't remember how they did it and used that as an opportunity to try to seize control of the world, rewrite history and declare themselves to be the ones that did all these things. And whatever they couldn't explain, they just called it a mystery. Yeah, a mystery. Oh, that's a mystery we don't know. No, it's a mystery you don't know. I want you all to study Emotep. Emotep was the first recorded black multi-genius. Emotep was the one responsible for the alignment of all of the megalithic structures to the stars. Emotep was a multi-genius. He was all these people wrapped up into one. As a matter of fact, when I looked at what we have here, it says that he was Michelangelo. He was Newton. He was all of these people that white people like to lift up. He was all of those things rolled into one. In other words, Emotep came from what they call the land of black Egyptians. They didn't call them Egypt. There was Upper Nubia and there was Lower Nubia. He came from Lower Nubia. Lower Nubia being the Saharan desert. It's a desert now. It wasn't a desert then. But you should study I am Emotep, the African architect of the cosmos. Truth of the matter is the entire Egyptian civilization came from the mind of Emotep. I recommend that you get this book. You know, interestingly enough, I want to point out something. Now, I got this book here this morning. We're on the Morning Mental. And the Handy African American History book. What I found interesting is on the cover, if you'll notice, they've got a picture of Barack Obama. And then they also have a cover of the Tuskegee Airmen. Okay, so we know what the slant going to be on the book. But what I found interesting about the book was when I cracked the book open, I thought that, well, let's see where the book starts. I want to just share one thing to you. I'm in the book again. And here's what blows my mind. Y'all, hold on a second. I got to dig in. I got to unpack this. Here's what this book says. We're on my Morning Mental this morning. It says, now think about it. You were taught in school. You were indoctrinated like a fool, is what they called it. That slavery, or the enslavement of black people, started in 1619. Oh, we've heard that all the time. Oh, the first slave was brought here and it was an accident and we didn't know how to pay for them. And that's bullshit. The Portuguese slave trade would have been running for 200 years before they brought Africans or people of color, if you want to call it that, because I call white people people without color. Every time I hear somebody say people with color, I get offended. People of color. Well, then guess what? Who you are? You're people without color. How about that? You feel better now? Stop saying that people with color. Stop being afraid to call us what we are. That's why I love to watch media people struggle with saying not fucking around coalition. Oh, we got the NFAC here. The not, effing around. No, not fucking around. Say it. There is a problem right now with censorship that has gotten to the point now where they're censoring not just whole words, not just whole ideas. They're censoring based on disagreement. They're censoring based on not being comfortable. They're censoring on because somebody makes them look bad. They're censoring. And it has gotten to the point where it is pathetic. Y'all so politically correct that you're incorrect. That's how bad it is. Y'all have gone. And let me tell you what really blows my mind. What blows my mind. And then they try to label you and put you in their game. You know what I'm saying? Last time I checked, I'm not left or right. I agree with some stuff and other stuff I don't agree with. That's the way it works. The same way an idiot cannot keep their mouth shut. Some of you all will make terrible spies. You know why? Because you're still big children. And all I got to do is touch your nerve and you will expose yourself. If you all notice when we do the morning mentals, I keep the numbers low now. I'm only interested in my students and quality. This is not a spectator sport. But when someone slips in amongst us who is an idiot, all we have to do is wait, because I'll say something that will make them wave their hand, light a candle, wave a flag, jump up and down like a whack-a-mole so that we can see them, and then we kick them out. And then they're in my email talking about why did you block me and why am I not allowed to be in the room with the rest of the people that are sitting and eating of whatever it is that we are learning. And the reason that you got ejected is because you came in for your own reasons. You came in wanting to be the class clown. You came in thinking that you're going to change some minds or that you could stop the truth from being laid out for my people to wine and dine on. I have news for you. It doesn't work that way here, because here we only teach and we talk the truth. Not the truth that you want us to believe, but the uncomfortable truth that Black people are starting to wake up, and that those of us that are waking up are finding out we are not your friends. As a matter of fact, you're not our friends. You declared us to be your enemies long ago. And hundreds of years later, we're still your enemies, even if you change your style and your approach to how you attack us. The difference is we're waking up and you're afraid that now that we've awakened, we will attack you back because we outthought you before. You still, with everything that you have, let me lay it out. I hate to break this now. They're gonna hate me for this, but it's the truth. I always say this to the other civilization. If Black people are supposed to be so substandard, if Black people are so violent and incapable, if Black people are all those things, I want you to build somewhere in the world. I don't care. You choose the place. Build an exact copy of the Great Pyramid. Not in the condition that it's in right now. Build it in its original construction, complete with the limestone covering that made it gleam from anywhere on the hemisphere where you could see it, and then put a capstone on it of pure gold. Build it exactly as the one that sits in Egypt right now. Build it and shut us up. Don't make up these caveman theories of, oh, it must have been slaves that did. No. The technological precision and the alignment and the precision of that entire place, which is so old, they really don't even know how old it is. They can lie all they want, but they know they didn't build it. We did. Even if we forgot how we did it, even if somebody invented and what I think would have been an amnesia bomb We don't remember. But it is a known fact that technology today, and I'll put money on anybody that can prove me wrong for what I'm about to say. With all the technology we have today, there are some technologies we have not mastered as of yet. We have not mastered the ability to heat stone to the point where it becomes liquefied and we can mold it while it's liquefied. We have not developed the ability to commit anti-gravity, where we can move huge megalithic stones like they're nothing and place them in precision. We don't have that. We do not have the ability to cut stone like you cut butter on your table, or bore holes through solid granite. The hardest there is, we don't have that capability. And then we don't have the ability to align megaliths so closely put together that you can't even get a razor blade between them, and they are aligned perfectly to the stars. You're speaking of a very high civilization. And that is you, black people. That's just one thing that you did that they don't want you to remember. Because if you knew those things, you'd be proud of yourself. If you knew those things, it's just like, back when I was uneducated and caught up in the world, and I was just like a lot of you, because it is written that at one time you too were just like them. The only difference, big shout out to Kim Kennedy, but you will find out that people tell you all the time, they'll say, well, y'all ain't this and y'all ain't that. But if you notice, a lot of people will say, well, no, we're not this and that now. But what about what we did back then? See, they don't want black folks to be able to say, but what about what we did back then? You see, right now, a lot of y'all get shut down because they'll say, we did this and we did that and we did this and we did that. And then you'll say, well, what about us? Well, now y'all were slaves. You see what they're doing? They're cutting you off from your lineage. They're cutting you off from your heritage. They're cutting you off from your accomplishments in this world. I'm on my morning mental. Join me tonight for the second class in the Nephilim, the Pyramid of the Apocalypse. If you missed the class last night, we started off, it's an 8-part series where we're breaking down the book, the Nephilim, the Pyramid, and the Apocalypse, and how those are correlated in ancient texts and also in different religious texts and also in today's technological texts. It's something you might want to find out. I tell you right now, don't bring your theology because we will shatter it. Don't bring your slave master's religion because we will invalidate it. And whatever you do, don't bring your petty feelings because we will not allow those. That's tonight, the Nephilim, the Pyramid of the Apocalypse. Facts over feelings, somewhere around 9-ish on the East Coast. Make sure you tune in. But coming back to what we're talking about right here, I was looking in this book, and here's what blew my mind. It says in the year 1526, 1526, not 1619. It says in 1526, the first recorded slave revolt in North America occurs after Spanish explorers bring Africans to what is now South Carolina. Let me break that down. They said it was the year 1526. I'm confused. How could there be a slave revolt in 1526 if you saying that, according to y'all, the first slaves accidentally who were indentured slaves were sold in Jamestown in 1619. There's even people up in Boston who claim that no, the first slaves were sold here. I don't know why everybody wants to claim the honor of who sold slaves first, but this right here says in 1526. This is now almost 100 years before 1619. And they said it happened down in South Cackalack. Big shout out to all my South Carolinians out here. Everybody all way down in Charleston and Columbia and, and all down through those Spartanburg and Orangeburg and all down the Honea Path. Oh, I've been down through the Cackalack. The question is, how could they have a slave revolt? Because, just like I've told you, Slavery was going on way before they came to the United States. Slavery went on for 400 years. America only has 246 years of it. You were enslaved by the Portuguese. You were enslaved by the Arabs. And you were enslaved by the Arabs long before white people got into the business. So the next time you go down to the corner store and you all up in Mr. Abdul's face and he acting like he your homeboy while he's taking money out of your community, you remember that those are the people who enslaved you first. So when I see this, and I see that there was a slave revolt in 1526, look who the culprits was. They said the Spanish brought the slaves to South Carolina, and slaves won't have that shit. Whatever had been going on before that, they wasn't rolling with this. Because we have to remember something, and we've taught this before. Do your research and you'll find out to be a slave back in the old dynasty was actually an honorable thing, because you were simply working off your debt and then you were free. It wasn't rape and robbery and getting beat down, none of that. It wasn't until the barbarians. It wasn't until the wild man. It wasn't until those who came from the Caucasus Mountains. It wasn't until the animalistic people got a hold of it, and that it became something perverted and sick and traumatizing. And we're the descendant victims of that trauma. And they have the audacity to wonder why we feel the way we do. It's not that they don't know because they don't want to know. They don't know because they don't think there's anything to know. At the end of the day, folks, on my morning mental, whether we're in an alternate reality or whether we're all just crazy as hell, the point of the matter is the truth always comes out. Remember, what's done in the dark always comes to the light. That's my morning mental this morning. Just what's on my mind that he wanted me to share with you. Some things for you to think about, some things that you did not know. Before I go, I want to drop something on you real quick. You cannot function in life if you don't evolve. Everybody must evolve. Everything evolves. There's always a new and improved version coming out. You should always be looking to be a better version than the person you were last year. And some people grow up. Remember what I've taught you before. All children grow up, but not all children grow into women and men. Some of us grow into other things, like big children. If you are not evolving, then why are you still here? When I joined the military, I'll never forget this. It was April 1989. And if it's one thing I remember when I joined the military, was that I left. You know, you do your basic training. That was at Fort McClellan, Alabama. And then you do your advanced individual training where you learn your military occupational skill, your MOS. And that was at Fort Gordon, Georgia in Augusta. And then you go on to your permanent party assignment. You're in the military now. You're active duty. And I had such a disdain. I had such a hatred for the South because I was split between, you know, your mom lives in one place, your dad lives in another. And back in the day, you go back and forth. Pops is in New York, but mom is in Virginia. Mm-hmm. So you get the best of both worlds. So I saw the South and the North at the same time. And I hated the South so much because of their racism that I made it my business to never, ever return to that place. I knew the world had to be better than what I had seen. And after being gone for 7 years, I wouldn't go back. I hadn't gone back for 7 years. I went back to visit 7 years later, and I was amazed at how many people hadn't changed a bit, hadn't moved at all in life. Were still doing the exact same thing that I left them doing 7 years prior. That even though I had lived around the world in different cultures and had learned that there are all types of people in this world from all walks of life, and that some of us are cutting edge and some of us are walking in the past, even though I had learned that there were white people out there who had never seen a black person face to face, and you were the first black person that they had ever seen, even though I learned that there are people out here who will kill you for the affiliation for the country that you're in, has nothing to do with your skin color. They will just kill you for being American. Once I came back and I found out that there were places around the world where we're not hated, where we're treated like royalty, where they have flipped the script and they love black people like we royalty, and white people are the ones getting their ass handed to them. And they just want them to feel like it's everybody, but no, it's just because of shit that they did. To come back to the world and see people still doing the exact same thing they were doing the day I left. They hadn't evolved at all. The sad part about it is that they would look you in your face and think that you haven't evolved either. And that is the most dangerous thing you can do to another human being. And that is not to give them the credit. Hold on a second. Y'all was about to have a guest appearance by you know who done eased up in here. Your friend and mine. You got it. The Dobermans are in the building. But they won't be easing their ass up in here this morning. I was on a roll, and now, what do you want? No, I don't know where your lighter is. No, you got to roll it. The dog has somehow been down at the corner with the local drug dealers because he keeps a relationship with them, because you got to stay grounded with your people. Somehow the dog has acquired some legal marijuana, and now he's holding it, looking at me as if I'm going to partake with him. We will not do that, even though it is cultural. Y'all don't know this, but we were the ones who used to incorporate cannabis into all of our war proceedings. We would call it the peace pipe. You see, it's hard for us to declare war on each other after we've smoked some green together, after we have relaxed our minds. This is what they used to do in Africa. They would sit down and say, you know, we pissed off. We got beef. Your country and my country is on the verge of war. So what would we do? We would roll a L. I'd smoke a little bit. You'd smoke a little bit. And we would wait until it took effect. And then we would say, now, bruh, now we really gonna fight over this? And if you can still agree to fight someone, if you're still pissed off that you want to screw somebody over or muck them up after smoking some good weed, then apparently it's a real issue that needs to be dealt with. But they call it the peace pipe because it made everybody peaceful, and you brought peace. Matter of fact, they went in with swords drawn. They came out, they holding on to each other, they boys. You see, one of the things that we also learned in the military is never take anything personal. In order to maintain good morale, command structure, that you have to not take things personal if it's for the good of the unit. So the dog, apparently feeling like there needs to be some, I guess we got something to talk about peacefully, has went down to the corner and come back, and now he's here looking at me like we need to talk. I don't know what we need to talk about, but he's rolling right now, and I guess when I get off, we will go into the cone of silence and we will discuss whatever he has a grievance with. A little bit of comedy for y'all this morning. Remember, Imhotep, the African. And you can find this online, Robert Ball and Thomas Brophy. And then, of course, make sure you go ahead and get a copy of this also. This is the handy African-American history book. Now, this is by Jesse Carney Smith, PhD. I want to wish you all have a great day. And I hope and I pray that every step that you take is ordered by the Most High. And any step that you choose to take on your own, just be aware of the consequences. Every step you take, every word you speak is a seed. Hold on, let me unpack this before I go. If you still going into the grocery store and you're going to the fruit section and you're buying seedless food, then you are already polluting yourself. Everything that the Creator has created came from a seed. Even you came from a seed. So how can you in good conscience go in and say, well, hold on a second, y'all. I got to check something real quick. There we go. How can you in good conscience keep putting that in your mouth? You can't. And for all of you all who are now jumping into my inbox talking about, I can't believe you cut off my commenting. I wanted to comment. I didn't cut off your commenting. I cut off everybody's commenting. Because some of y'all got it twisted. This is not a social club. And I think a lot of y'all got me, pardon my language, I hate to use this to wake you up. You got me fucked up. I started this by myself. I started NFAC by myself, just by getting pissed off and grabbing a weapon. And I started these classes by myself with a few people who are still with me to this day. I don't need all of you all around me, especially when you're not here for the right reasons. If any of you have been touched or anointed or appointed, then walk in your purpose and the people will walk with you. I'm walking in my purpose. And if you're not walking that way, if you have an ulterior motive, if you think I'm so stupid that I can't see you, you're like little children to me. You're like my little children. I know most of you on sight. So when I see you getting a little bit out of order, I simply disconnect your ability to be out of order. And now you can leave. And we will not miss you. We will wish you the best. We don't wish ill will on anyone. But if you're going to walk with this team, you walk correctly. Or you don't walk at all. Seedless food, stay away from it. Seedless grapes, seedless this, anything seedless is something that has been grown and produced by man. Looks like the real thing. It even feels like the real thing. It probably tastes like the real thing, but it is not the real thing. And you are what you eat. I'll see you tonight. Facts over feelings. For the second class on the pyramid, the Nephilim, the apocalypse, and all of that, and how it all ties together. If you've read that book already, you know where we're going with this. But we got to unpack it in such a way that people who haven't learned it can understand. Because once you understand that, you'll understand what has happened. You'll understand why the world is the way it is. You'll understand why we're the way we are. But you'll also begin to see what they're hiding behind the curtain. And you'll realize you're not crazy. The question is not about if you're crazy. The question is, once you come into the knowledge of the truth, will that be the motivation that you need to finally realize that it's time for us to go? It's going to be a sad day. I'm going to say this, but then I got to go. I hear these cats over here. They keep throwing stuff on my desk. It is going to be a sad, sad day when we leave. And I'm being honest. It's going to be a sad day. It's going to be a sad day because when we pull off, you're going to have people who are going to be angry. You're going to have people who are going to be scared. You're going to have people who are going to be, they're going to be, I don't know how to use this word. They're going to be presumptive. They're going to be projecting doom and gloom on people. It's going to be a sad day because when that day comes, you're going to have those people that I just described who are going to watch us leave. And then when America goes completely south and starts to act up against those of y'all that are left, you're going to be screaming for those people that pulled off to come back and either save you or come get you or come back to stop these people who have lied about history, who have erased your culture, who still continue to murder you. People always talk about, I love this part right here, you're going to get us all killed. They're killing y'all already. Well, we're going to end up on a list. You're already on a list. Everybody's on a list already. Y'all acting like there's something that you have that you're going to lose that you ain't already lost. You've already lost. And that's what makes it so crazy. You done lost and you don't even know it. And now you running around like you winning and somebody about to upset your winning game. When I've said it before, I am the one who coined the term that you're comfortable in your captivity. I am the one who told you that you are playing a game of chess and not checkers. I am the one that told you that you're playing a crooked game of Monopoly and you don't even have all your money and you got the jacked up pieces and the only thing you can buy is them cheap little pieces of property right after you pass go. I am the one that told you that they lied to you about the religion that they used to control you. I am the one who told you these things to expose to you that you're not winning, that you're asleep in the matrix. And I am the one who had to shake you to wake you up. And now everybody's awake. Everybody got all these ideas about what to do when we wake up and but y'all still missing the boat. Everything that you're saying, everything, every lie that you make up, every insecurity that you voice, they already doing it to you. And they've been doing it to you for so long that you actually think that it's normal. Think about that, Black people. I will see y'all later. I'm on my morning mental. And the love affair I have with Black people is very interesting because I never thought it'd be like this. Because I don't talk to flesh. I talk to your spirit. The question is, do you listen to your own spirit or do you sit there and continue to enjoy the occupation of the flesh that you sit in? Because that's going to pass away soon, real soon. And we all going to get to see who's who. As for me and mine, the second Exodus, the united Black Kemetic nation. That's all we focused on. What are you focused on? Shalom.